All right, so we're back for another round of Arachnoiditis Unfiltered, and today we have the great opportunity to talk to Rare Patient Voice, which for us, with having a rare disease, obviously this means a lot to us to be able to connect and collaborate with you, and we are very blessed to have the founder and a patient advocate with us today, Stacy and Wes. Thank you so much for joining us. Um, Thank you for the opportunity to collaborate. And we like to try to start every episode with Arachnoiditis Unfiltered, telling people that they need to sign up for Rare Patient Voice
Oh, I
because,
love it.
yeah, the beauty of this is that we increase the pool of the patient population that we're trying to study. And the larger the pool, the better the results are always going to be. I'm a medical professional. Sarah's a medical professional. We totally understand that. And we really get the opportunity to try to collaborate and make a difference with this. So without further ado, Wes and Stacy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, our pleasure. At least my pleasure. Stacy can speak first.
Yeah. All right. So I know all about Rare Patient Voice. I've researched it in depth, and I'm glad to make the connection. So what I'm going to ask of you is tell us about Rare Patient Voice. Just kind of give us the 30,000 foot view of what Rare Patient Voice does.
Stacy, you're better at it than I am.
Sure. So we are the matchmakers. We connect patients and caregivers with online medical research studies. We do anything from clinical trials to online surveys. Our website makes it super easy to connect the patients and caregivers to these studies. And that is really all it is in a nutshell. We are building our panel of patients and caregivers. And as studies come into us, we push them out as fast as we can to the community. And in turn, everybody's voices can be heard and research is made.
Awesome. And on top of that, we pay people for their opinions.
Yeah.
Yes.
We pay people at the rate of $120 an hour, and we've paid out over $15 million. So, and when we talk to people why they join, that nobody ever mentions that first. I think somebody cares about me or my condition or my kids, and maybe it'll help me, or maybe it'll help those coming after. And they go, "Oh, by the way, the money's nice, or help make my holiday."
Yeah.
But it's nice to honor people that way because they deserve it.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, when you're talking about the community like Sarah and I are part of, we're both disabled. We're both on disability and Medicare. So when you get these opportunities to put some change in your pocket, I mean, that's a big thing, right? We up front, we say that we get $10 as a referral partner to Rare Patient Voice for anybody that actually registers. But then that opens up the opportunity for them to get those emails that says, hey, we have this study going on. We want you to take part. And you really should take part because, again, you're making a difference just by contributing your experience, the situation that you're dealing with, the disease that you're having to live with. And the result is that we get
research.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ample research and things that will help us going forward, in addition to, putting that little bit of money back into your pocket. And wow, such a great opportunity to see something like this come across. So,
I mean, I think it's sometimes people may assume, they know all about this, or they don't need to hear from me, but never assume they know your story.
Right.
Think about it. Somebody may be at a big, important, wonderful pharma company developing a cure or a treatment. Their MBAs sitting around the room. They're not really the people that know about it. They need to hear it. And it comes to life when they hear real people, right, talking about what it means to them or their kids, or one kid has this disease, but the others don't. And they have to figure out all the things that run into people's lives. They need to know that.
Yeah.
So I mean, Wes, you're the founder. You were the guy that actually started had the spark that started the fire and the flame for Rare Patient Voice. What was the impetus that actually got you to this point? Because you were in commercial marketing in the big way, like big companies, and then all of a sudden you find this niche for rare diseases, and you start this company, and you've been at it for over a decade now.
Yeah, 12 years.
Yeah. So what was the spark for you?
But it's funny because so many people that we meet, obviously in the rare disease world, are like you guys are personally affected, right? And I have to say that wasn't what got me in. though you were all connected to people. You can't. Everybody's got something. But I was in market researching, and I moved into the healthcare field. In the pharma companies, they want you to interview all these doctors. No, that's great. But then this was in the 90s, and then they had me interviewing patients and doing patient things, and I could see how people were like, it's when I talked about breakfast cereals or spices, yeah, that's great, but their health or their kids' health, that's a whole different magnitude. Right. And a client came to us in one of the rare diseases, hemophilia, right? And in the 90s, there were even fewer. The whole generation had been wiped out. They didn't quite understand AIDS and all, and they were using blood products, and it was just, tragedy. But they came to us and said, look, can you guys, I was working for a market research company that did all the interviews and stuff. They said, can you create a panel, a group of people, parents and kids basically with hemophilia, and then we can learn more about them. We'll do surveys, we'll do interviews. We need to learn about it. So they had good intentions. They want to learn about them. And so working for a small company, we bid on it, then we won it, and then we had to figure out how to do it. Right? Yeah. And so we went to the National Hemophilia Foundation. That year it was in Disneyland out in California. And it worked. We set up a table, we had giveaways, we explained it to people, they signed up. It was all paper and pencil. And it worked. We did all these surveys and interviews. They felt they really got to know the community better. And every year we'd go out, and that conference moved around to different cities every year. And 2 or 3 years later, this was what gave me the spark. Somebody from a different company, a different hemophilia manufacturing, came up to me, and they said, "Hey, we hear you have this patient panel. Can we access it?" Well, company A pays for it. Company B can't have it, right? So I said, "Well, I'm sorry, but no." But I'm saying, why not create a group that's not beholden to any one company?
Yeah.
And I said, this is it. Well, that was like 2000. So it still took me 13 years to do anything about it. But everything came together personally, professionally. I said, I'm going to do this. And the first thing I did was hemophilia. I went to the hemophilia conference because I knew it worked, and I'd done it before. And that was our first study. And then I didn't know whether we would just be a company doing hemophilia. But now we've got 1,500 different conditions covered. We've done over 10,000 projects.
Wow.
And as I said, paid out over 15 million. So I didn't really know. Thank God I didn't know all the ins and outs and ups and downs and things you needed to do, because everything kind of solved itself along the way. And,
that could have been daunting initially.
What it would become. But from that one person saying, can I? I'm like, no, but maybe there's something we can do.
And that's how things start. Great things like Amazon, selling books out of a garage, and now it's a behemoth.
We're not quite as big as them, but
Well, no. But you know what? You've gone past the borders of the United States, and now you're global, right? You touch many different countries now, which is amazing, especially.
And we also. My vision was, it was rare, because I said, well, if it's not rare, there's other research panels that have people with diabetes and such. They won't need us. And I'm happy to say I was wrong. People come to us for any and all conditions. If you look, we added a funny, or it wasn't meant to be funny, but a tagline. It says rare patient voice, also non-rare.
Right.
So we encourage, so as you as a referral partner, people can sign up with anything. They can have diabetes or asthma or anxiety, and unfortunately, those are more common, but we accept all those. It's just our focus is more on the rare, the hard to find, and everybody is, right? I like to think everybody's rare in their own way, because even if a client wants diabetes, then they say, we want somebody on a specific brand of glucose, whatever, and it gets down to a tiny sliver. So it's still the hard to find folks that we love to find.
Yeah, and that's Sarah and I. We are
right.
We are the hard to find with our disease, arachnoiditis.
I've heard of thousands of rare diseases, right? But when Stacy sent this to me, I had never heard of arachnoiditis. I had to look it up. So I said, there's going to be a lot that I haven't heard of, but this is, being in this business. So you are RARE, right? Capitalized.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they say. I'm not really sure how rare it really is.
Oh, really? Maybe that's under the radar, right?
Yeah, I think it is, actually. The statistics right now is 2 to 7 million in the U.S. alone. I don't know globally, So if you compare that to like CRPS, it's only 200,000 patients in the US.
Well, that's
So,
important then. Well, that's why you're doing what you're doing, right? You got
right,
to get the word
absolutely.
out, and
Yeah.
doctors need to start diagnosing, et cetera, et cetera. So
That's the hard
Yeah.
part. They don't seem to want to get it mainstream. I'm not really I'm kind of missing why that is. There's the research there to found the basis of it, but that's a whole nother episode in itself, but
Well, I mean, I think when it comes down to what we deal with, which is primarily pain and loss of function and feeling, like for myself, I'm slowly being paralyzed below the waist because of my arachnoiditis and cardiac syndrome. And so, really, it's when you go in and you talk about what you're dealing with, what they hear is pain, 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 but there's
yeah.
really no way to measure pain, right? The one measuring point that I've discovered with respect to my pain when I'm in intense pain is my blood pressure. My blood pressure
Really?
spikes. Yeah. And so they see that and it's like, wow, your pressure's off the charts. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I have cardiac issues. I've had 4 heart attacks, one most recently. But when I'm in pain, my pressure goes up, and that's a direct result of being in pain. So it's the one measuring part that they can look at and say, "Wow, you are in pain if your pressure is up this high." But in general, you have, I would say, a mixed bag of people that. When I was working in the hospital, we call them drug surfers. They would just go from department to department to department looking for the medication with the pain that they had. And that was before we had the ability to connect this
right.
prescription with this patient going to this particular pharmacy, right? It's all interconnected now because we have such an overview of it. But it's so easy to dismiss pain and
Yeah.
not necessarily, like, I don't know, loss of function or loss of feeling or loss of an
Well, and
appendage.
I assume a lot of physicians are like, oh, I'm not going to be successful here because
Yeah.
What can you do? So they lose a little confidence, or they'd rather do something where they know exactly what
Sure.
it is and what they can
Yeah.
do about it.
Yeah.
Stacy, I think a lot of folks, we have a lot in what we call chronic pain, right? Just
Yes.
people have,
There's a whole
so they
category.
fall into that bucket for us because
Yeah.
they may not know, but you're right, they
And
may
it's
be
sad for
caused by
them
it.
because there's obviously an underlying issue somewhere that's not being addressed.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Amen. Right. Yeah. I'm
And
trying to
that's,
figure that out.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
symptom versus disease. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
try to find the disease.
Right. Right. And I think if we can isolate that, then, we may not be able to cure it, but at least we can treat it or in part treat it or prevent. In our case, I think preventing getting pokes to the spine for someone that has like a connective tissue disorder or collagen disorder underlying, I think that's at least where my research is now on this.
Wow.
I think they interconnect.
Stacy, what's like, as a patient advocate, what's your role? Because I know how important it is to have a patient advocate. So I know that you play a very important role. What exactly do you do at Rare Patient with the patients that you work with?
This is exactly what I do. Every single day I show up for our community. I am part of the social media department that we have here. So I connect on a level that's more personal, getting to know who our community is, what their needs are, and how we can kind of help and how they can help us, and just how we can be supportive to one another. I push out tons of different resources to our community. The community gives us a ton of different resources. And I sit and listen and talk and chat and build community and spread awareness for conditions and just individuals and resources that people might not know that's out there. But there's so many different resources and so many people willing to listen and willing to lend a helping hand. And that is my role, and I hold it very near and dear to me. I love waking up each day and connecting with everybody.
Yeah.
And I help with the patient outreach team. So we connect with different clients on what they're looking for, and it is up to our team to help fulfill that goal. So I reach out every single day, letting people know of these opportunities that they can be a part of. And if they're already a part of those opportunities, I encourage them to share it with their communities so we can bridge that gap between them and us and make our voices even louder than they were yesterday.
Yeah, 1000%. Amen. Thank you.
Stacy and
Because
her team, do all the social media, and some of which I'm into, and some of which, believe me, I still haven't figured out. They have over 45,000 followers on the Facebook page.
Nice.
And they put out they put out inspirational pieces. They put out pieces telling about studies that we have, all sorts of honoring different, day, awareness day, whatever it is. It's just, they're always putting stuff out there, and it's really great stuff. It's not like my stuff where I got a crappy photo and write a couple words.
yours and mine.
It's a lot of fun because each social media platform has a different personality, right? TikTok is not the same as Facebook, is not the same as Instagram, it's not the same as X. So you're literally speaking to different demographics of people on each platform.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun too, because it's really important to know, what a 20-year-old is thinking versus what a 70-year-old is thinking, right? Everybody's in different stages of their diagnoses or their, advocacy efforts themselves. So it just really needs to be connected to all of that, and just to see all the different dynamics, and just work it all from every angle. And it's been great. So if you're not following, we're on like every social media platform.
Yeah.
Nice.
So make sure you do.
And we're pushing for you because what we've realized, and a lot of people don't think about this. Disease knows no boundaries, right? It can happen from day one. It can happen when you're in the womb, and before you come out, you have disease. So the fact that we think we need to be of a certain age to actually make a difference or make an impact or have an input is really kind of a misnomer. Everybody needs to be involved, and I think a lot of the parents that are going to be with their kids that have certain diseases are probably going to be the better advocates as well, kind of pushing for this type of situation to really get the information out there, really improve the process, and improve the outcomes and the opportunities to really make a difference in the lives of people that suffer from disease. So let me ask you this, Wes, to date, what's the biggest impact that you think you've had with respect to starting RPV?
Well, I think in general, it's, all these companies that are working on treatments say that this is the buzzword now, patient-centric, patient centricity. And isn't that an interesting idea? For years, it was about physicians, and obviously very important, and we wouldn't do anything about it, but maybe it should be about the people, right, that need the treatment. But I think it's gone from being a buzzword to actually gone to being something they do. It's like, let's talk to patients. Let's talk to them earlier. We've seen it in our business because we've seen it grow and grow and grow. So the companies are talking to more patients, and they're talking, I think, earlier in the process.
Good.
How to set up a clinical trial so it works for the patient. How to work on a treatment so it's helping the patient. So that's the biggest thing. It's just as Stacy said, we're matchmaker. We're the guy in between. The patients want to talk, and now people working on it, they want to listen. So, but they didn't have a good way of doing that. So we're the conduit in between there, giving people the chance. And I'm always amazed when we go to patient events, and Stacy and her team go to these, and every disease is worse than the one before, right? And you're seeing these people, they're there. They're not just sitting back and taking it. They're there. What can we do? We're doing it. We're having an event. And then I think, I'm not seeing them on the day they were diagnosed. That was probably kind of a downer day, right? But they've bounced back, and they're fighting. They're doing it, and they're rallying the troops, and it's just great to see that.
Yeah.
And I think, Steve, one of the greatest things is that we push really hard to make sure that our community knows that we are real people with real conditions. Most of us at RPV, we're either patients ourselves or we're caregivers for a loved one. And I think that's sort of what separates us from other third parties, because we really want to make it known that we are real people. We really do care about the whole process from start to finish. And, that empathy is very real here. And especially in a world of AI right now, and I always push out that, like, when you reach out to me on Instagram, like when I respond to you, it is a real person responding to you. It is me. If you
Yeah.
reach out on Facebook and you get a response, you're going to get Brooklyn from Florida, right? Brooklyn's going to email you back, so there's a real person on the other end always. And I find that extremely important, especially in the day and age that we're in right now.
I
Don't get me
sometimes
wrong,
will get
yeah,
an email and it'll be full of F this, and I'm like, at first I'm like, oh, but then I'll write like, please don't use that. And we're here to solve. And they'll write back, like they'll do a complete 180 because they expect it to go into a black hole and not hear anything.
Right.
Because that's the way the world is now, right? It's chat bots and you're not real. No, we're real people. So all of a sudden they see that. And some of those people that started out have become our best friends, our best proponents, because, if you have a problem, you never got your check. Oh, it was mail. It didn't. We'll send you another one. We want, as I say, we want people to like us. We're not out here. We're not out there to make people unhappy.
Yeah, I would say I've received 3 checks for our group so far, in just the short time that Stacy and I were connected, and which is awesome. We look forward to funneling as many people in your direction as we can, because that's the impact that we want to have. We want to impact research. We want to impact outcomes. And this is like so fortuitous that all this kind of came connected, and
so early on too,
Yes. Yeah. Cause we've only been at this for,
how did we get connected?
Well, I reached out to Stacy. I was driving in my car one afternoon. Stacy was doing a live Instagram with somebody, and it popped up because I follow you guys on Instagram. And so I connected live, and I did a couple of screenshots so that I would know who I was talking to. And then a couple of weeks later is when Sarah and I decided to start this podcast. And I thought, man, you know what? I got to reach out to Stacy. So I reached out. And then Stacy and I had this, it was like 2 or so hours of dialogue back and forth through Instagram, and then finally emails. And I said, hey, would love to interview you. And she goes, how about interviewing Wes, the founder? And I was like, that would be awesome. And so here we are.
And Steve, this is funny. This is Wes and I's first podcast together.
Oh, is it really?
Yes, for all of us today.
Oh, that is awesome.
Because Stacy has her own world and I have my world, and now they're intersecting.
Yeah, that is great. And to know me, I'm a former sales guy. I worked for GE Medical Systems, Toshiba Medical. I mean, I was kind of in that industry, and I am not bashful about picking up the phone and reaching out and saying, hey, you know what, if you're the CEO, you put your pants on one leg at a time. I'm going to talk to you. Let's have a conversation, because I can do that. And just out here trying to make a difference. So
every good thing starts with somebody reaching out. It's funny. Absolutely. I have people randomly reaching out to me and vice versa, and sooner or later something happens that benefits us. It's like, hey, wait a minute. Some guy came to me that had been a client of ours, and a lot of them had lost their jobs, and he was actually local. Nobody visits me in person, but he came in person. We work out of our homes. He had to go through my grandson's toys and get to my office here. And I said, well, I don't have anything now, but do you know this guy? And he said, no. And we called this guy, and he says, no, but I know this guy. The guy had a job in a week. Is just by reaching out, talking and finding it.
It's all about connections, and just opening doors and turning over stones. Right. That's I always said that if I turn over enough stones, one day I'm going to find a diamond underneath one of the stones that I overturned. So
and here I am. I'm just kidding.
There you are. All right.
This is one of those diamonds. So when you go to these patient events, what events do you go to, and what's your mission when you go there?
Stacey, you want to talk about it?
I would love to answer that. So our patient advocacy team, there's 4 of us on the team, and usually 2 travel. So our team lead usually travels, and Brooklyn, who runs our Facebook account, she also travels up and down the coast, coast to coast, west coast, east coast, all over the place. We're still waiting for the team to find somewhere in Hawaii to come to.
I know they always charge too much for those Hawaiian events.
But we do all kinds of different events. We do great big events like the Abilities Expo. We even do smaller events like, what's that one, Wes? something cafe. I'm
Oh,
not sure.
yeah.
But we do tons. We work with the Magic Foundation, all kinds of from every different kind of disease, and we just set up booths, and we pretty much run exactly what we're doing here at our booth. Individuals come to us, and we explain what we do and how they can get involved, and how we can support them, and how they can support us. And it's so great because patient events are so much fun because we get to meet people face to face. We actually get to meet the patients. So it's more personal. And Jen has hit the ground running this summer. I
She's
don't
been
think she's
everywhere.
been home for a whole weekend, and she's getting ready to leave Thursday for like the whole entire month of August.
Wow.
Because summertime is great for events because people are just traveling all over the place, and travel's
Yeah.
a lot easier. And so there's just conferences everywhere. And if we see one that we've never been to, we love to do research about it. We love to reach out and connect because we're always looking to build our panel.
Okay.
So patient events, caregiver events, client events, if they're out there, we would love for you to send them to us because we're always looking to meet individuals personally or face to face.
When I started, I didn't know how else to find people, especially with rare disease. You can't just, so it's targeted. Oh, the people at the Hemophilia Conference or at the Fabry Foundation or whatever it might be, MS Walks. And it turns out there's a lot of other benefits from that. One, people know that we're real. So we send them an email. They go like, oh, I remember these people. It's not like, who is this person and what are they writing? And then our clients love it because in this day and age, there's a ton of fakes and frauds and people trying to do research. And we're like, we don't have those. The people we meet nobody goes to one of these conferences saying, I'm going to be a fake to do research.
Yeah.
They don't even know. They come because they're concerned about, and the clients love that. And then referral partners, I hadn't thought of that yet, but that's the same thing because people know other people and they're not referring a phony or a fake or something like that. So it's really worked out well. And to us, it's like quality over quantity. We'd rather have good, real people than some of these that scrape the internet and have all this stuff. No, and our clients appreciate that. So it's a win for everybody.
All around. That trust within the community is so important.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something, Stacy, that I think is widely overlooked, and that's about caregivers. That's a big part of your research as well, as I've discovered. And I know that firsthand. My mom has dementia. My sister lives a mile away from her, so she looks in on her constantly, but she's the caregiver. I'm 2 hours away, and with my disease, it's very difficult for me to get in a car and go there. But I know how difficult that is for the caregivers, and there needs to be at least, I think, more support, more understanding of what they go through, because it can be just as difficult as the disease that you're trying to deal with, having to deal with that disease as a caregiver.
Yeah, it's a 24-hour full-time job. Yeah.
While maintaining a household and a possible
right, everything else that you have to do on top of it. Yeah.
We have a wonderful community of caregivers on our Instagram page, and they are always speaking and always posting. I didn't enter the chronic illness disease world until I had my daughter, and she was diagnosed at 2 years old, and I just had no idea what to do. I had no idea where to turn. I had never met anybody with her condition. And so I turned to social media. I immediately created an Instagram page, and the chronic illness community came running at me like, you're not in this alone. All right, sit down, let's talk, let's cry, let's figure this out. And because of their help and their generosity and their willingness to listen, Iris was able to take her healing process from so many years, and we shrunk it down, and like now she's in remission. And like, because there were so many questions that I could just straightforward to the doctors, like, these are the questions I need to ask, instead of, okay, we'll address that next appointment, and then the next appointment 6 months, and then a year, and then a year and a half, and we're still in the same spot.
Yeah.
Right. So I love every single caregiver that has ever, opened up their door for me. And so a lot of my Instagram page, I try to bring a lot of awareness to caregivers, because there's a lot that comes with caregivers. Like I said, maintaining a household, keeping your marriage together if you're married,
Right.
making sure you eat yourself, make sure that your health is cared for. But yeah, we definitely need to continue to bring awareness around caregivers.
It's almost like when you first get diagnosed, and Sarah and I have talked about this, and this is one of the reasons that we started this podcast, is to try to open up an avenue for more of an education, because initially it's piecemeal. The bits and pieces that you get going online, doing your research at WebMD, and then you find a forum on Facebook, and then you're quickly falling down a rabbit hole. We're trying to circumvent all the initial questions by putting it out there and up front and saying, look, your life is, for lack of a better term, with what we deal with, is going to be hell. But we're here to give you some resources and some outlets that may help you figure things out a little bit quickly, kind of put you on a faster learning curve. And I think that's, again, what you're doing with your research and with the process that you have with the companies that you work with, is putting people up front with their education. They're going from elementary school to college very quickly with the information that we can get back as a result of all the people that are in this pool that want to be studied and want to be known and want to share their experience. So I can't thank you enough for doing this. I can only hope that we can find a study for arachnoiditis at some point.
That was my next question.
I know.
But,
I know. That's why I said maybe
obviously our community is going to want to know that. Yeah. So my question is, when you guys gather the data, are you guys looking at, let's say if we get 100 arachnoiditis patients or 1,000, is that something that you guys would present to your research teams, or is it only what they are looking for specifically at the time, at this point anyway?
It's really what they're looking for. But what we like to do is let them know. Say, like if somebody's doing work in that area, and now through clinicaltrials.gov or anything online, seeing somebody's doing, say, by the way, we have 100 folks with arachnoiditis that would love to comment on what, to make them, because a lot of them don't think they can get anybody. And we're like, no.
Right.
Folks sign up with us for one reason only, because they want to share. We're not offering wonderful content. We're not ready. I mean, sorry that we're not, but we're offering them the opportunity to do that. So we love to do that. For us, that's like business building. Hey, we have these folks. We found you.
Right. So everybody, we never know where will this lead.
Yeah. But awesome. Yeah, it's raising awareness. I think in the meantime, we may have various studies about chronic pain or whatever that arachnoiditis patients may qualify for, because they're looking for people that have pain for any of a number of reasons. So, but it's still be nice to have somebody. Hey, we're working on a new treatment. We're working on something, and patients love that, because a lot of times there's a description of it, right?
Right.
Yeah. They won't give you the name, and so it's like a coming preview of something that may be out, and people get very excited about that.
Yeah. So it's extremely important, Steve, when your community signs up with Rare Patient Voice, that they list all of their conditions, right? That way they have more opportunities to participate in different studies, and not just not just their umbrella, right? So it's extremely important. And it's funny because people will sign up with their illness or their diagnosis, and then weeks later be like, oh, well, email me and be like, well, I have that. And well, I have that. And I'm like, okay, let's update your profile.
Yeah, I did. I think I sent you an email like when I first signed up, which it's a very easy process to sign up. So don't be intimidated by the fact that you have to click on, there will be a link in the description here to our referral link, and you'll be able to sign up. But it's very easy process, HIPAA compliant. Right. So we're not sharing that information other than, to benefit us from a research standpoint. Right. But don't be afraid to go back in there and list something that may have come up after the fact once you've signed up.
So we one of the most requested conditions that we did help with study was last year was obesity. Most people won't even think of putting that down as a condition.
Right.
But, you know, with all those new drugs and stuff, there was a lot of need to talk to them. So it's like anything in that someone might have. Everybody has sleep apnea. Everybody has, you know, put it down, because there's a lot of people, a lot of studies in all these areas.
Yeah, and you don't know how it's going to relate, you know, for their research. So
yeah.
I'm almost ashamed to write down everything that I deal with. You know, it can be rather depressing going, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this. But, you know, when it comes to this, it's
a little bit
an
of an
opportunity for me to have a voice and an outcome, and obviously, you know, have an income as well. So I'm not unabashed or certainly not unashamed to throw it all out there.
Yeah, and I thought I had everything listed, but now you brought up chronic pain, and I'm going, oh yeah, because I didn't even think that, like arachnoiditis is chronic pain.
It's so you won't think that, and a lot of times what our folks will do, they'll know that they'll say, hey, people, this study they're asking for X, but some of these other people may have it, so we'll go to them too, and we'll learn from it. I had a
that's okay.
little wisdom that I've lost.
And I really like what we do, because prior to my daughter, I honestly thought that any research in the medical field was only clinical trials. And so I didn't know that there were other ways.
Right.
And so for a lot of people, clinical trials are scary. They might not want to do it. They might have to stop medications they're already on. So I was always like, wow, clinical trials, that's kind of scary. But now we give so many different opportunities, you know, through even online surveys. Like you can be sitting at home and get an invite, and you can finish it right at home, you know, on your comfy couch. And also, it's really easy for us to advocate, because we are not afraid to stand in front of people and speak, or we've been at this for so long that we're comfortable with telling our situation and this and that. And there's a lot of people who aren't ready, or they're not at that point yet, or they want to be advocates, but they don't know where to start. And they're not ready to create an Instagram page, or they're not ready to do a podcast. So jumping onto Rare Patient Voice is a great start, because you're an advocate when you fill out those forms, or you do a clinical trial, or you know, you participate in a focus group. Like that is being an advocate. And I think that's really important for people to know, because some people are like, well, where do I start? Well, Rare Patient Voice is a great place to start.
I will say that it took me quite a few years before I was able to share what I was going through, the disease that I had, not because I was ashamed of it. I was just trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
And, you know, and there's the initial, once you get diagnosed, and again, you kind of have all this information to process, and you're doing all this research, you don't want to just go out there, at least not in my book, and say, hey, you know, I got this, and, you know, what do I do and whatnot. You kind of silently research all that, but you guys have taken it to the next level. And I think if we can do any one thing, we can pull the sheet back, or the curtain back from this, and say, look, get involved with your disease. Get involved with the process of trying to figure things out for other people that are going to come behind you, because that's really what we're trying to do, is make the road behind us that much easier for everybody that's going to be following, right?
And I like to tell the patient, you're the boss here. Yeah. If you don't want to do a Zoom interview and you'd rather do an online survey, fine, or vice versa, because some people want to talk with type and some people don't want to talk. You're the boss. And if somebody asks you a question, you don't have to answer. You can be like a politician. You give the answer that you want to give. But you're the boss there, and don't do what's comfortable with you. The good news is the feedback we get is so wonderful, because, you know, the people doing these interviews are very empathetic and very knowledgeable, and people learn a lot, and people find it cathartic. So I have a wonderful experience. But if you're a little bit afraid in there, don't be afraid, because you're the boss. You can stop at any time. You can say, I'm not interested in this. Nobody.
Just because you open an email does not mean you have to follow through with it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's very good to know, because some people are going to be very apprehensive to answer some of those questions. I mean, we had those questionnaires in school, right? Where they would ask you certain personal things, and you're like looking around going, wow, do I answer this? Because they're going to see me circle. No. I mean, this is, there's a greater benefit with respect to answering this, but yeah, don't be afraid to say, I'm going to take the fifth, right?
We even have a button now, and I love this. One of our folks had this idea. So we send an email. That's how we tell you about these studies. Nobody answers their phone. We can't be calling everybody. We send an email. So check your email, and but and it'll describe the study, right? It'll 30-minute arachnoiditis. I hope online survey for $60 reward, and then it'll give you more details. So, but there's a button there. Because if you don't do anything, you probably get 2 or 3 reminders. Because not everybody sees all their emails, and we want to make sure we give people a chance. But some people say, "I saw it. I'm busy this week. I don't want to drop out of a rare patient voice, but I don't want to do that." You can push a button, and we won't send you any reminders for that study. But the next one that comes up, we will. So we want to be nice. We want to do what works for people, and I think that's a nice gesture.
Yeah,
I like that. I mean, because there are certain companies, telemarketers, that will just inundate your inbox, and it's just like, you know what, I'm going to send that to the junk mail, and I'm never going to hear from it. But this is one that I think is very important. And if you can hit that silence button or the snooze button on this particular study, that's great. That is,
because we want to do what you want to do. So.
Yep, and if you reply to that email, it goes directly to a project manager who will get it within the same day. So if you feel like you're still getting them, you can just email the project manager, be like, "Can you hold up?" And they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely."
So in addition to what we're already doing, what can Sarah and I in our community, mainly her and I, what can we do to really push things forward and help you out and get more people on board or more studies going? I mean,
Stacy can tell you what to do.
Yeah, let's put our heads together and we can collaborate on social media. Steve or Sarah or both of you, we can go live on Instagram like you jumped in on that day. I think I was actually speaking with Jen from My Spoonie podcast. I think it might have been.
From My Spoonie Sisters.
Yeah, My Spoonie Sisters. Yeah, I think you might have jumped on that one. But we can do one like that if you'd like. We can we'll brainstorm. Whatever you guys want to do, we can. I'm always open for collaboration ideas, and if you have an event, we can collaborate. Like however you got. Let's just brainstorm, and we can make it
good.
And from a study standpoint, if you know of any work being done, any research being done, because you're going to know it before I am, because you're let us know, because then we'll reach out. Like I'll make, if Merck, you say, hey, there's a branch of Merck doing X, Y, Z. We'll reach out and say, do you know we have Accent? Are you thinking of, we'll try to get them to be thinking about opportunities, because we can't create them ourselves, but we can, prime the pump, right? And get them thinking about it.
Well, I tell you what, there is one that comes to mind. That's from a company called Nerve Gen, and they're doing, it's called NVG-291. They're doing a clinical trial, and it's supposed to be nerve regeneration for paralysis. If this goes through, this is going to be groundbreaking for people like us and people with paralysis. So that would be one that if you have, and honestly, they're on my list of people to contact, because I want to be part of that clinical trial. I've got a great story that sells itself, and I've only come to realize that I need to, I don't want to say exploit, but I need to use it to make a difference. And I've held it back for many, many decades, but now it's time to get it out there and use my face, use my story, use everything that's happened to me to bring attention to this. If you want to contact NerveGen, and I'll contact NerveGen, and I will circle back
that's the type of information. It's very, very good, because then we can look into it. We're connected to a lot of people, find people and talk to them. And usually they're like, oh, great, we were trying to find people. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Steve would be the guinea pig.
So,
no, just kidding.
I will, as this concludes, I will send the all the information over the limited information that I have to you, Wes and Stacy.
Great.
Yeah, and
We'll
let's see what
do
we can do to spark that fire and stoke it and get a
Yeah.
cure for paralysis. How cool would that be to be
Oh
part
my
of
God! Talk about
cure
a
for
life-changing event.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes me think of who is the Superman Reeves?
Christopher
Christopher
Reeves.
Reeves and the
Yeah.
foundation.
Right.
Yeah.
We've been to some of their events. They've got events and all the wheelchair folks and such. And oh my God, and everybody says these things are impossible, and then they're never impossible because sooner or
Nothing's
later somebody
impossible.
figures it
Right.
out, right?
Right.
They figure out how to get this nerve connected that nobody. So someday we're going to do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
that's why. And why think otherwise? Because that won't
Exactly.
help us if we just assume we can.
And
I
the
had
human body is incredible.
Yeah. In college, I had a physics class, and the physics professor said, if I flip a coin, how many times will it land on heads and how many times will it land on tails? And don't dispute the opportunity for it to land on edge, right?
Right.
That's a possibility that you can flip it 100 times. It'll be 50, 49, and then one time it's going to land on its edge and it's going to stand vertical. That's the possibility of research. You can do anything because it's possible if you think about it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Sarah, what else do you have?
I just wanted to ask really fast, just for the viewers, because I already know, but the weekly warrior stories that you guys have, how can they find those? It's on.
Jump on Instagram and reach out to me. I am always looking to share your story.
Awesome.
It is very important that we get your story out. And simply just DM me on Instagram and we can make that happen. We can create videos. If you obviously reels get a broader reach with the algorithm. So if you're comfortable creating videos for your weekly warrior, we can make it happen that way. Otherwise, you can send me a picture of yourself and a brief bio, and we can push it out and introduce you and your story to our community. That's the best way. And when you send that to me, it will also go on our website and it'll also go on our Facebook group. So your reach will be far and wide. If you create a video, I oftentimes like to throw that up on TikTok as well. So it's super easy. Just reach out to me. I'm a 6-hour difference from the East Coast. So when these guys are all
First
clocked out,
and she's working.
yeah, when they're all
Right.
clocked out and getting with their family, I'm just getting going. So I have a pretty good quick response rate on our Instagram. So message me, please. And I'm always available for like anything,
Nice.
even
Okay.
for just chat. So
Well, I know that we have an Instagram Live scheduled on my 63rd birthday coming up this month, August 21st. Yay. I've survived 63 years on this world when I should have been gone a long time ago, trust me. But yeah, I look forward to that. And, reach out. Yeah, I mean, we're going to put all the contact information for Rare Patient Voice in here. Please reach out to Stacy. And I know Wes, and I look forward to staying in contact because I think you're doing a great thing. It's something that Sarah and I are very passionate about as far as trying to promote things and move things forward as far as, things getting better for our disease and trying to, improve our lives as well. So thank you so much for
Thank you guys for
starting
taking
this.
your time and
Yeah, we
moving it
love it,
forward.
and thank you for doing what you're doing. That's makes everything we do worthwhile. And then to meet people like you that form a group and start from scratch to do this stuff, and that's the only way to get it done.
yep.
Yeah. And you know what? Reach out to us at any point in time if you think there's a potential for us to help at an event or, for, input. We're certainly happy to do that. Feel free to use my story. If you've not researched it, it's pretty widely known on the internet. So please look it up. But thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you about this. Thanks for the opportunity to partner with you. And you know what? Let's go improve lives together
Let's
because
do it. Yeah.
we can move a mountain one spoonful at a time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, and see those videos.
Absolutely.
we're going to do it.
Okay.
We are.
Thanks again.
All right, thanks for
Thanks,
having us.
guys. Bye.
Thanks.